Guys, welcome to the fourth episode of the Basic Babes tutorials. Let's get into it, shall we?
Girl, I wanna handle you.
In your mouth, you speak good to me. I'm built like you.
So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do full glam without looking cakey. I know it's a problem for a lot of people. So I am starting off with moisturizing my skin. Personally, I have oily skin, but I still like to moisturize my skin so that my skin doesn't overcompensate with oil when it tends to get dry under makeup. Cause I know that the first thing you do is, if you have oily skin, you don't want to put moisture on your skin because you feel like your skin is gonna, be slippery, but it's actually the opposite. So make sure that you're moisturizing your skin and applying lip balm and eye cream if you want to. I personally like eye cream. The second step is to prime your skin. Use an appropriate primer. I like the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I like a lot of primers. This is one of my favorites. It's also affordable. So definitely prime your skin when you are doing your base. It's very, very important. Now I'm getting into color correction. It's not for everybody, but I like to do color correction because I have dark marks on my skin and hyperpigmentation. I realized that even though I use a full coverage foundation, sometimes it turns a little bit gray around areas that are already darker on my skin. So I'm beginning to put color correction back into my routine, and it just works really, really well. I like this color corrector and the MAC concealer palette. I just go in with just a little bit to balance out the darkness on my skin. Secondly, I like to do a little bit of powder before foundation. As you can see, I'm patting the excess powder at the back of my hand, and I'm using my powder puff to push a light layer of powder around the areas that I applied the color corrector to, so that it sets the color corrector. If you use a matte color corrector, you don't have to do this step. The color corrector in the MAC palette is not very matte, so I like to set it down so it doesn't get too oily. The next step is to apply foundation. Use whatever foundation suits you. I personally like foundations that dry down matte, that are full coverage on some days. It really depends. This foundation is from MAC. I really like it. I don't reach out for it very often, but I enjoy using it. I'm also using the Insta Pop Face brush from Real Techniques. It's one of my favorite brushes. And a tip that I like to tell you guys is to use a clean brush. Always use clean brushes. Personally, I like to clean my brushes after every use. I know that it's a lot. I use a bit of micellar water and baby wipes to just take the excess makeup off my brushes every time that I use them. It's really quite helpful, and it just makes my makeup blend easily. So make it a habit of cleaning your brushes after every use, or after every 2 uses. Honestly, it's the best thing to do. I also like to go in with a damp beauty blender. Even though I'm using a brush, I use a damp beauty blender to do extra blending, to take off any excess makeup, just in case there is. Just in case I use too much foundation, I just go in with a beauty blender. Look at that, it picked up a little bit of excess. The next step is to apply concealer. I'm going into concealer on my chin, my mustache area, my under eye area, the bridge of my nose, and the center of my forehead. I personally like to apply concealer there to highlight and conceal those areas. Feel free to apply concealer everywhere you want to. I also like to let my concealer sit. It just makes the concealer blend out so much better. I'm also applying a little bit of cream contour from Huda. I'm using my fingers because I couldn't find my brush. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and blend out my contour again with a clean brush. I'm going ahead to buff the contour into my skin. As you can see, I'm buffing what's on my forehead and my temples into my hairline, so I don't have any lines of demarcation. I am just patting the product into my skin and not swirling or swiping. And what's left on the brush, I like to go onto my chin and jawline with. I'm I'm going to go ahead and blend out my concealer. This brush is from Real Techniques as well. As you can see, the concealer is giving me the coverage that I need. I really like to let my concealer sit. However, if your concealer is matte, please make sure to blend it out before you go into any step. Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult to blend it out. I know it's quite complex for beginners when you tell them to leave the concealer on their skin a little bit longer. Some people are not comfortable with that. So please go ahead and blend your concealer if you are not comfortable with leaving it on your skin for a long time. As you can see, again, I am doing patting motions, not swirling, not swiping. I am just gently patting the product into my skin. Again, I'm going in with a sponge to do some extra blending to pick up any excesses. The sponge is an amazing blending tool. Some people prefer to use sponges to blend right away, which is fine by me. I personally feel like when I mix the two, which is brushes and sponges, it just gives me the best blend. I feel like I see this in every tutorial, but it's really the truth. As you can see, the sponge really softened everything out. Now I'm going back in with my foundation brush with no extra product. I'm literally just going over the edges of everywhere that I blended my concealer into, or where the concealer meets the foundation or contour. I am going ahead to go over those edges so that I blend in any harsh lines. As you can see, the harsh lines have softened out, and yeah, it just makes everything blend into each other and you don't end up having cakey, harsh makeup on your skin. I like to go in with a second concealer. Feel free to just stick to one concealer. You don't have to do two. I also like to use cream blush. Feel free to skip this step if it's not for you. Cream blush is not for everybody, but I personally like cream blush. Again, I'm going ahead to buff it out with a brush. As you can see, I didn't let my cream blush sit. I went ahead to blend it as soon as I applied it because this blush dries down very fast and I don't want it to be patchy on my skin. So if you apply a matte product, you know it's gonna dry down fast. Please blend it out so that you don't have patches on your skin. Remember, makeup is sitting on your skin and not inside your skin. So when you are blending it out, make sure that you are gentle and make sure that you blend it out as fast as you can so that the makeup that you keep applying on top of each other is not moving and spreading apart and giving you patches all over your skin. So yeah, the next step, I like to just go directly in with a sponge to blend out what's under my eyes, because at this point I'm not looking for coverage, I am looking for brightness, and using a sponge just gives me the brightness that I need. I'm going back in with the blush brush with no extra blush. I'm just going ahead to blend out all the harsh lines. That is where the concealer meets the blush. I like to blend out my nose contour lastly because that's what I'm comfortable with. Go ahead and do whatever pleases you. As you can see, I am not swiping, not swirling. I am literally just patting the product into my skin. Remember, makeup is sitting on your skin and not in your skin. So you definitely have to keep patting, not swiping. Before I set, I go ahead and use a sponge to blend out any creases under my eyes because that's where I crease, and make sure that all the harsh lines are blended out. The next step is I like to use a pressed powder to set the concealer under my eye. Feel free to use a translucent powder to set under your eye. You don't have to use a pressed powder, but I just wanted to go all out to show you guys that you can apply as much product as you want on your skin, but you need to blend out your product well so that it doesn't appear cakey. You need to make sure that you're blending out your product with the appropriate tools so that your makeup doesn't end up looking cakey. So I'm going in with my puff and I am pushing the powder into the concealer under my eyes. Now that's the only area that I use the lighter powder to set, the lighter pressed powder to set, that is. And for the rest of my face where I applied concealer, I like to use a loose powder. This is the loose powder from Laura Mercier. I'm using the same puff and I'm just pushing the powder into my skin. that is where I applied the lighter concealer. If you have oily skin, to set the creams on your face so that your makeup doesn't end up breaking apart. I also like to use a pressed powder that is close to my skin tone to set my foundation. I have oily skin, so it's very unrealistic for me to go out with makeup that is liquid or cream on my skin and just hope for the best that my makeup wouldn't melt off my skin. So I definitely prefer to use powders to set any creams and liquids on my face. If you have dry skin, be light-handed with the powder so that you don't end up cracking your skin or drying out your skin too much. I'm going ahead to set the cream contour that I applied as well with my Fenty Beauty bronzer in the shade Coconutty. Because I use a lot of powder, I make sure that my skin is definitely moisturized before I use any makeup on so that my skin doesn't overcompensate with oil. So if you have oily skin, please moisturize your skin before you do your makeup. If you have dry skin, moisturize your skin before you do your makeup. This applies to every skin type so that your skin is taken care of before you go ahead and apply a bunch of makeup on. This step is me baking and just doing a little bit of reverse contour with powder, and I'm going back in with my powder brush with no extra powder just to buff all the powder that I've just applied onto my skin in. Like I said, the key to not having cakey makeup is blending. Blending the hell out of your makeup, making sure that any harsh lines are blended in and your makeup is not looking patchy. I also like to go in with a powder blush. This is the powder blush from Juvia's Place. It's one of my favorites. I use it in almost every tutorial, and I'm just applying that with my blush brush from e.l.f. on top of where I applied my cream blush earlier. As you can see, it's just sitting really, really nicely on my skin, and the harsh lines on my skin are effectively blended in. Now, the last step for my base is to go ahead and apply some setting spray. This is one of my favorites from e.l.f. It's a long-lasting spray and it just melts all the powder into my skin. I also go ahead and dry down the powder just so my makeup is sitting nice and right. I also like to apply some highlighter. I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Diamond Bomb in the shade Royal Icing. I'm putting that into my inner corners, the brow bone area, the tip, and the bridge of my nose. Sometimes on my Cupid's bow, I don't always do this. And then I'm going ahead to apply some mascara. I prefer to apply mascara after I have set my base because I don't want my mascara to run and I'll end up looking like a raccoon. Some mascaras are waterproof, but I've just been doing this for way too long and I can't stop. It's now a habit. Now I'm going ahead to line my lips with a dark brown lip liner. I really like to do this step. This is just a basic pencil and it's available all over the place. You don't need any special lip liner to do this step. You can go to the beauty supply store, get your hands on a dark brown cool toned lip liner or eyebrow pencil and use that to line your lips. Personally, I like to overline my lips. Overlining is not for everybody, but I definitely feel like it looks really good when I do it on my lips, so do whatever suits you. I would also like to apologize for my weird voice. I have not been feeling well for a while and my voice is taking a hit, but I wanted to do voiceovers just cause I needed to put videos out for you guys. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so I'm going ahead to apply my lip gloss. I really like this lip combo. This liquid lipstick is from Locs Beauty off of Instagram. They sent me this as a PR package and I've really been enjoying it. I'm combining these two colors. I was trying to do something to match my eye makeup. If you want to see a detailed tutorial on the eye makeup, I uploaded it last Tuesday, so do check it out. This is what the makeup ended up looking like. Makeup would show texture on your skin. Makeup doesn't hide texture, but make sure to blend your makeup well. I'll see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.
You're 22, two at the handle. Girl, I wanna handle you. Put my hands upon you, baby. You're 22, two at the handle. Girl, I wanna handle you. Put my hands upon you, baby. 22 going on 23. You look prettier when you're fucking with me. I'm in your city, I'ma show you what.